making some really big decisions today, like trying to remove a stuck squirrel from my hair without using a chainsaw.
Hello, I'm Skye Taylor. Get a coffee or your favorite beverage and join me in episode 1 of The Crazy Painter. Now in this episode, we're going to be discussing a lot of different techniques, tips and tricks that you'll need or will help fire your imagination before we start to paint. Now, you might say, well, I'm not a painter or I can't paint the abstracts. Yes, you can. You can do this. Don't think you can't. And even if you've never picked up a brush before, you have something to say. You have something to express. And painting abstracts is an expression. It's an expression of you. Now, if you cry or if you laugh, nobody can tell you you're wrong. So if you paint an abstract, whatever you do, that is your expression. How can anybody say it's wrong? And if they do critique it, that's just their opinion. That's what they feel. That's their expression. And you should never take it to heart. Whenever you create something, if you love it, that's all that matters because that's you. That's who you are. Now, if you have children, by all means, let's get your children involved. Let's have a painting with Skye night. That's where you spend time with your children and teach them how to paint. You don't have to teach them, just give them canvases. Believe me, they'll express themselves. They don't need any direction. But maybe you want to put on a painting with Skye video, a future video that we're going to do, and do that. Because the time that you spend with your children is the most important time of all. You create a memory, something that they'll never forget. And what better way to do it than with art? And even if you're a grandparent, why not get the grandkids and do this? Spend time with them and everybody paint, even you. Everybody. Now, as a parent, if you're worried about getting paints all over the house and making a big mess and saying, oh no, Skye, I got good furniture and I'm not going to have paints all over, well, there's an alternative to that. Do it at grandma's house. Just kidding. No, take it outside. Do it in the garage. Be creative. Get the neighbors involved. Have a crazy party. And everybody have fun and see what they can create and have little contests. But even if you haven't painted, you might find out that maybe your children that aren't even interested in painting might turn out to discover a talent that you never knew you had or they had. And that's what's incredible. So everybody should be painting, everybody. And I'm going to give you some tips and tricks in this episode before we actually start painting, doing the actual demonstration. And hopefully it will fire off your imagination. Whether you're an amateur at it or a seasoned pro, everybody has something to say. We can learn from everybody, And my technique, just because what I do doesn't mean it's right. It's what I do. And I'm going to show you. And in these series of paintings, you are going to know everything as we go along. I'm going to tell you every little secret. There's going to be nothing held back. And that's the power of YouTube. This is all for free. And I'm going to give it all to you. I'm going to give you my heart. And you give me yours by watching. And together, we'll do some incredible things. We'll take you to new levels. You'll surpass me. I know you will. And it's all about expression and feeling good spiritually. If you can paint, and when you start painting, you're going to find something. You're going to find out, all of a sudden you're going to lose track of time. You're going to be painting something, you're going to look at the clock, and 2 or 3 hours are going to go by, and you're going to say, oh my God, where did the time go? I've done it where I start at 7 o'clock at night, all of a sudden I look, it's 5 o'clock in the morning. What the heck happened, When you get to that point, whether you created a masterpiece or not is irrelevant. You have arrived. You've spiritually connected and lost all track. You were in a spiritual zone of creating, and that's what you want to be. You want to be there, because when you're in that spiritual zone and painting and lose track of the time, your body is healing. You're de-stressing. you're taking away all the stress, and it gives your body a chance to heal, to be able and repair itself in order to face the next day. And that's what it's all about, healing and spiritual healing, just by painting. And yes, it works. It does. And you'll find out that you're a happier person because you vented yourself through painting. It can change your life. So I want you to join me. Right now we're going to be talking about all the different little supplies that you need and little tips. But I'm going to take a coffee break before I go on to the next part. You know me, I love my coffee. So hang in there. I'll be right back. When you're first starting out, what kind of paints do you get? Well, your local Walmart store has a wide selection of paints at a great price. It's great entry level for the beginning artist on a limited budget. They come in a wide variety of different quantities. You could get 6 tubes, 12 tubes, 24 tubes, and it's great to get going. When you're ready to graduate up to a really good paint, I highly recommend the Winsor Newton Galleria paint. It's just a great all-around paint. It has great pigments. And when you're shopping for paint, that's what you want to look for, is a paint that has a good consistency and also pigments. When you put a red on, well, how is that red? That red is red, you know? Does that make sense? Probably not. Or a blue. I mean, it's just incredible. I found that many artists that sell their paintings for thousands of dollars usually have the Winsor Newton Galleria in their arsenal. I see them painting with it. So, I mean, I found that it's just an incredible all-around paint. Where do you get it? Well, you can get it at dickblick.com. Now, I have the link below. If you're buying in quantities, they offer an incredible price, plus free shipping at a certain price point. It fluctuates from time to time. You kind of have to watch and see, you know, depending. Now, if you just run out of 1 tube of Galleria, let's say you run out of black or something, you need it in a hurry, you'll want to go to Michael's to get your just like 1 or 2 to supplement. But before you do that, you have to go online and try to get a 30, 40, or 50% off coupon. You have to look because it'll fluctuate from week to week. So, I mean, you could save as much as 50% if you're really lucky, you know, on that tube. And that brings it down to where it's like Dick Blick's prices. So that's a great deal and something to consider. But my go-to paint, Winsor Newton Galleria. But I just want to say that's my choice. As you paint, you might have your choice. You might find another paint you like more. But to me, it's Winsor Newton. The question is, can I use house paint? And the answer is absolutely yes, you can. What you want to do is you want to get a very good exterior acrylic latex satin house paint. Now, the reason why I say exterior is because exterior paint has UV properties built into it, and that protects the paint from fading, especially when it's outside. So if you put that on your painting, you've got a little extra level of protection. But you can use interior paint too. And by mixing it with a little bit of gloss medium, you are locking in the properties. I'm telling you, if you mix it with the gloss medium and you drop paint on something and try to get it off, it's not going to happen. It's that good. By mixing it with a little bit of gloss medium, it just makes it like steel, believe me. So therefore, yes, you can. And what's great about it is it mixes well with the Galleria paint. Now, I'm a big fan of Ace Hardware. I love their paint, and the reason is that when you go into their store, you can bring any color you can imagine, any color you want, and they will duplicate it. And also, they have a wide selection of color cards that you can choose from. Now, you can give it to the Ace Hardware person, and they will put your name in their computer along with the color card you chose or the color you brought in. And you can name it anything you want, and they'll store it in their computer. And anytime you can go in there, give them your name, and get the exact color that you want. They'll mix it right up. So they basically store it for you, but they print out a card for you. that you can take home with you, and you can put it in your file box. Just in case their computers crash, you got the backup. So you're not only getting a great paint, you're getting a great service. And I use Ace Hardware paints, and I highly recommend them. You don't want to buy a no-name brand like at the box store. You think you're saving money, but you're not. Pigments are everything, and Ace Hardware doesn't skimp on the pigments. It's an outstanding paint. The difference is that the viscosity. Now, if you buy like acrylic, the Galleria paints, they're a little bit thicker. House paint is thinner, so you have to make an adjustment. You have to get used to using a thinner based paint. But once you master that technique, you can take your paintings to an incredible level, because Ace Hardware has a great selection of all different colors, and you won't be limited. I mean, any painting that you see that I've done has Ace Hardware paint in it. And believe me, it'll outlast me, it'll outlast you, it'll outlast your children, it'll be around for a long time. Ace Hardware, I give it a thumbs up.
Remember, friends, when you paint, there are no mistakes, just happy little accidents. I think I just had a happy little accident, and I'm not happy.
Before I begin, I just want to tell you I am not an affiliate with Ace Hardware. I have nothing to do with them. If I mention them in my videos, it's really because I believe in their product. I mean, as of this date, I'm not. Maybe down the road they might want me. Nobody wants me, but they might want me. And I just want to tell you that and make that clear. What I'm telling you is from the heart, and it's what I really believe. But what are the pros and cons of house paint? Well, we already discussed the cons being the viscosity. It's a way thinner paint, so it takes a little bit of getting used to. But if you mix it always with the gloss medium, it'll go a lot further and be really strong. It's a good, strong paint. Now, when you're first starting out, the last thing you want to do is buy gallons of this stuff. You don't want to do that. Always buy the quarts, buy the smallest ones you can. It's cost more money, but what you're doing is you're finding the colors that you're really going to be using a lot. Maybe white would be your first gallon purchase, because that's a go-to paint. You'll always use white. But you don't want to tie up money in gallons of paint that you might not use. So it's always good to start out the smallest and graduate. Replace it with gallons as you grow and you understand what colors and what you can do with it. And if you're first starting out and you're not sure whether you want to use house paint, just buy 1 or 2 small cans and test it out and see if this is going to work for you, before you invest a lot of money, So another thing too is the painting sticks. You'll always want to get the painting sticks because you can use them for dripping. You ever see those dripping effects on canvas? How do you think they do it? Thinner paint. But house paint works great. But what you want to do is you want to take that paint and put it in a jar, put a little gloss medium in it. This bonds the pigments and the properties. Then you take the stick and you drip on the canvas. And believe me, that will be locked like steel. That color will be locked in forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. Did I say ever? I meant ever. So, I just want to tell you something. In my quest, I wanted to get the perfect red. I looked all over. I was going nuts because I wanted a certain color red. And somebody recommended this big paint company. I mean, they're like the Rolls-Royce of paints. I mean, there's no doubt about it. The quality is outstanding. But I can't tell you the name because I'm not going to drop the name because I'm going to say something kind of negative. But anyways, I bought this red. And I didn't use it right away. So it sat on my shelf, and then one day I just said, oh yeah, I gotta have the red. So I opened it up and tried it, and it was not the color I wanted. Well, no big deal, you might say, But yes, it was a big deal, and I'm going to show you why so you don't make that mistake. But let me put my coffee down, and don't look at my bald spot. Okay, here we go. Let's see here. I got to show you the label without showing you the name of the company. Okay, let's see if you can see this. Hopefully you can see that sticker and what I paid. You see $256 for this gallon of red? That's what I did. I could have bought 10 gallons of Ace Hardware paint, which I eventually went to. I had them mix up, I got to put this down. I had them mix up the red. Perfect red. Oh my God, why didn't I do this first? You know? So I mean, it was my go-to red. And all my paintings that have that bright red, well, now you know what the secret is. That was like the perfect red. I was able to mix it exact to my specifications. Live and learn, you know? Okay. Just want to tell you so you don't make that mistake. Here's a little tip for you. Before you leave the store, go over to the mist tint section. That's where they mix up a lot of paints that maybe customers don't want because the color might have been off a little bit. So they'll put it in the section. And you can get an incredible bargain. You can save a lot of money by buying mist tints. You'll want to try to get a satin. Always look for the satin interior or exterior if possible. But if you have to get a flat, that'll work too, because at the end you're going to varnish it anyways. You're going to put the coat of gloss medium over your painting to protect it. So, but what's great about the mist tints is that you can use them like a gesso. You can use it to prime your canvas. Prime the whole canvas, lock it in before you paint on top of it. It works extremely well. And sometimes you can get some great colors. I mean, I got a pink, a bright pink that is my go-to color, and it was actually a mist tint. And I absolutely love it. So you don't want to miss out. Always check the mist tints. They've got some great deals, and you're getting a great Ace Hardware paint. Allow me to read you a Skyeism from the Book of Skye. In the Book of Skye, let us set the record straight. You have been lied to all these years. In the world of painting, there are no happy accidents. It's called stupid luck. A happy accident is defined in the Book of Skye as if you get hit by a clownmobile and you laugh, even though it hurts, and all the clowns in the clownmobile laugh because they drove up on the sidewalk to get you. That, my friends, is what is called a happy little accident. When you apply paint to the canvas and it turns out great, even though you made every attempt to funk it up, and I did say funk, F-U-N-K, that, my friends, becomes known as stupid luck. Stupid luck is defined as putting your right foot forward and falling 1,000 feet off of a cliff, breaking every bone in your body except your little pinky finger, and still maintaining enough dexterity to pick your nose. Stupid luck. It works for me. Houston, we've got a problem. Now you go to the store and you're faced with two blacks. You got to get black, but which one do you get? Is it Mars black or is it ivory black? Well, let's look at the chart. If you look at the chart, you'll see that Mars black is a very, very black. It's very opaque. But when you mix it with white, you get this nice gray value. Now look over at the ivory black. It's more of a transparent black. When you mix it with white, you end up with close to the same gray value. So what's the point? The point is that if you're going to get black, get black. You heard the old saying that once you've gone black, you'll never go back. Well, I don't think they were talking about Galleria Mars Black paint, but in this instance, yes we are. If you want to try to save money on the black Mars paint, you might want to look at Blick Acrylic Mars Black. Very cost effective, comes in a big bottle. It's a great black paint. If you're trying to even save more money and think that you're going to replicate black and house paint, guess again, not going to happen. What happens is that house paint requires lots and lots of pigments when they're making black. And the end result usually is you'll end up more with an ivory black, not black enough. It's very, very difficult color to replicate. Another color that's very, very difficult to replicate in house paint is Ultramarine Blue, because it kind of has a secret to it. It's kind of a Dr. Jekyll and Hyde type of paint. It's kind of dark and it's kind of blue. It has two different values to it in one paint. So what happens is the computer goes crazy and can't read both values, so it doesn't know what to do. So it's a very difficult paint to replicate. So if you're going to try, just buy the original Galleria paint and you'll be good. So there you have it. That's my take on black and blue. And if you listen to these tips, you won't get bruised. For a palette today, we're going to be using the chopping mats that I got at the Dollar Tree. You can get them 2 for $1, or probably most any dollar store. Makes a great painting mat, and when the acrylics dry, you can actually just scrape them off. They just come right off. So you get a lot of mileage out of 2 of these. Great, and that's what we're using for this demonstration purpose. Let me put this down. Okay. Now, for demonstration purposes, I'm going to be demonstrating the Gloss Medium Varnish by Liquitex. Now, if you happen to use another brand, please don't ask me because I don't know. This is all I use. I don't skimp on this product. This is a great product. It's expensive, and you can pick it up at Hobby Lobby as well as Michael's, but make sure you go online and get a coupon. Otherwise, it's very expensive to buy. But there's a lot of things you can do with it. Not only can you varnish your paintings, if you see my How to Varnish a Painting video, you can also use it as a paint extender. Now, if you add this to black and mix it, after you had varnished your whole painting, you can extend your black paint around the edges of the painting. Usually I use Mars Black along with a little bit of this, and you get a lot of mileage out of the black. You're not using as much black. But unlike water, you never really want to use water because water deteriorates the pigments. It wrecks the binders. So you want to try to use as little water as possible on your paintings. And I'm going to show you a little trick how to get around it. You can still use water, but there's a little trick to it which nobody ever tells you, and they might not even know themselves. It's something that I thought about, and it made a lot of sense to me, so I started implementing it, and it works. And I'm going to tell you, but you got to promise, don't tell anybody else, okay? Okay. Now, I just want to tell you another thing, too, is that I am a real working artist. In a moment of passion, I do not clean my stuff sometimes. So it dries up on it, and it is what it is. Usually, if it gets too bad, I'll throw it away and buy new, or most of the times I'm good about cleaning it, but sometimes I'm not. So you're going to see paint, and that's the way it is. And on the bottles and everything else. I don't run out and buy new stuff for demonstration purposes. This is live, folks. I mean, this is real. This is the real deal. So you get what you get. Okay. For demonstration purpose, now I'm left-handed, so you have to excuse me. Let's take a little bit of this pink, and we'll put it over here, and we'll take a little bit of the, well, I should have done the opposite, but you can extend it. See, it can extend the paint. There you go. Actually, I should have done that before I went in there. That was stupid, but you can see how it extends the paint without wrecking the properties. You get a lot more paint. See, unlike water, which would dilute that, and believe me, if you added that much water, as much as the gel medium varnish as I did, it would have been diluted and you would have wrecked the binder. Okay, what else can you do with this gel medium? Okay, I'm going to teach you a little secret now. You probably seen artists with the water bottles. They spray all their paintings and the water drips and it's a cool effect. Well, they're actually doing damage to their painting because water destroys the binding properties. Well, how do you get around that? Well, I thought about it and I came up with an idea. Don't know if it's original. They say there's nothing new under the sun. I like to think that I thought of it. You get a water bottle. Okay, the water bottle. What you do is you take the Liquitex gloss medium gel and put 1/8 of an inch at the bottom of the bottle and then shake it up. And what happens is now the water and the gel mix together, and then when you spray your painting, you're not destroying the binding properties of the, well, it's less destroying. Let's put it that way. I'm not an expert and I'm not a scientist. But it's less destroying, and it keeps it adds binding properties instead of taking away. So you're not destroying your work of art by diluting it with water and wrecking pigments. Now there's another little trick I want to teach you. It's called iridescent medium. Now what you can do is you can add that to you can add maybe another 1/8 inch into the bottle and shake it up. And as you're painting, you can spray your painting with it. And what that does is it puts little sparkles in there. Yeah, you never thought of that, did you? And most artists don't. It's something else I thought of. But there is a drawback to it. You'll have to clean your nozzle. You'll have to take it off and put it in another bottle of water and spray it to clean it. Because what happens if you don't, the thing will lock up. It'll get clogged up. And that's one of the drawbacks of doing this little trick. It does happen. So you got to be careful and make sure that you keep your bottle really clean. But it's incredible. And then after the painting completely dries, after you varnish it, you could spray it again and just let it settle on. But when the painting is completely dry, and it'll add more sparkles to it, you can have a lot of fun with this. But you might lose a few bottles, so when you're at the Dollar Tree, don't buy one bottle. Always have 3 to 4 on hand, you know. Another thing, too, is you could take this nozzle out, and if you can find a cap that'll fit that, put the cap on and keep the nozzle off and keep it clean. The secret of longevity is to keep it clean. Now, I don't guarantee how long it'll last, but you can extend it, and eventually you might clog up. And you would think that the iridescence going through the nozzle would clog it up. Well, not really, not if you keep it shaken up. It'll last you a few paintings anyways, and it's worth the buck, you know, to experiment. When painting abstracts, what brush do you use? Well, I found that the 2-inch pure bristle brush is my go-to brush. Now, where do you get this? Well, you can get it at Walmart for under 60 cents. The next brush I would recommend is a 1-inch pure bristle brush. This goes at Walmart for under 50 cents. When you first get the brushes, what you want to do is you want to store them in pure, clear water. Now, the reason to do that is that the water will absorb into the brushes. And when you take the brush out of the water, you pat it dry with a paper towel and get out all the excess water just so it's damp. This way, when you pick up the paint will not get absorbed into the bristles. It'll stay at the end of the bristles. The idea behind this is that you want to put paint on the canvas and not in the brush. When you're done with your brushes, what you want to do is wash them good with soap and water and return them to a clear bucket of water. They should always be stored in water. So the next time you're ready to paint, they're ready for you. When you're first starting out, what kind of canvas should you get? Well, I highly recommend starting out small, then getting big. A good canvas to start off with is a 16 by 20 inch canvas. Now these are available at Michael's, and it's a 5-pack, and it retails for about $20. But if you go online, you can get a coupon, and save yourself quite a bit of money. Now the next size I would recommend is just a little bit bigger. It's an 18 by 24 inch canvas. Now to me this is the ideal canvas to paint on. It's great because you can group 3 of them together and make a triptych, make a big painting from small canvases. Plus it's a lot easier to ship a smaller painting than it is a larger painting. So by using these smaller panels, you'll find it's a lot easier to ship. And they're fun to paint on. You can do singles, you can do doubles, you can do triples, you can put 5 of them together, and it's not going to cost that much to ship when you stack them up and put them in a box. And that's my little tip on canvases.
Tip number 5.
Okay, now you're getting ready to paint, and then you have one last thing to think of. What kind of clothes are you going to wear? You got to be careful because acrylic is staining. I mean, you can really get it all over your clothes and ruin clothes, so you want to have designated painting clothes. Now, if you don't have anything in your wardrobe, why not visit your local resale shop? You can get sweatshirts anywhere from $1 to $3. Most of the time, I get them for $1. Now, this particular shirt, my mother-in-law gave me one Christmas. This color and another color, purple color. And they were beautiful shirts, and I wore one outside. It's a sweatshirt, extra big. I wore it outside, and a carload of guys went by and made some crazy remarks. So I went back and told my wife, who laughed hysterically. I can't tell you what they said. She laughed hysterically, and I said, okay, now I got painting clothes. So the first thing I did was I cut the arms off because they were getting in the way when I painted. And I've had this probably about maybe 6 years, but it's just incredible, really comfortable. Also, I like jogging pants when I paint. I buy oversized jogging pants. You want to be comfortable. And then maybe a pair of slippers that you don't care about. You know, you're not going to be in a fashion show, so nobody cares what you look like. And I'm only showing you. Nobody else sees what I look like except you, and I know you're not going to say nothing. Okay. But your resale shops are the place to get some great bargains. To wear gloves or not to wear gloves, that's the question. Now, some of your cadmium colors, like your reds and yellows, could be toxic, so you have to read labels and then make an intelligent decision. Now, personally, I do wear gloves. I wear rubber gloves, stretch gloves. Now, I was lucky to get these at my local hometown dollar store for $1 for the whole box. And the only reason why I wear them isn't because I'm worried about getting toxic and dying. At 60 years old, what do I have left? Maybe 75 more years? I'm not worried about that. I don't want my wife to yell at me. Because what happens is she always wants to go to dinner, and I end up with paint on my hands. I can't get it off quick enough, and then she sits there with the evil eye all through dinner staring at me. And I can't drink enough beers to get rid of the evil eye. So it's easier for me to put on gloves and just drink coffee. But you have to make your own decision. Now, if you're 30 years old, or 20 or 30 years old, oh, I would definitely wear gloves. Because what happens is that they might say it's not toxic today, and in 20 years find out that it's deadly. So you don't know, how they change things all the time. So the rule of thumb is, if you're 20, wear gloves. If you're 30, wear gloves. If you're 40, you're in the gray area. If you're 50 or 60, go commando.
La 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 la.
When painting abstracts, I love to listen to music. The reason why I love music is that it shuts down my mind. The worst thing you can do is think. You ever heard the saying, thinking gets you into trouble? It does, because if you have to think when you're painting, it alters the whole way you paint. You don't want to think. You want to be in that zone. And music shuts down your mind. So you want to listen to music. Now, if you have a computer that plays tunes, I highly recommend going on Pandora. Here's my list of favorite songs right here. And hopefully, maybe they'll be yours. Check out the channel. I love the Celtic. The Celtic does wonders for me. That's when I want to paint peacefully. Then I've got my rock and roll when I want to paint aggressively. Music will change your mood and the way you paint. And I'm a musician myself, which I said in other videos. And when I first started out painting, I could not stand music. It drove me crazy. I had to have complete quiet. But then when I found out, I tried listening to music, I found out that it shut down my mind, stopped me from thinking, and my paintings took on a whole new level. I soared to a whole new level of creativity, because then I became one with spirit and was able to paint. And it shut down my mind. So try music. It's incredible. And if you can't blast it, put on headphones. Be in your own little world. Works for me. Creating your own space when you paint. Sometimes that can be a problem. If you're not lucky enough to have a big basement or a room or a place maybe out in the garage to where you can be completely alone, it gets kind of difficult to paint, but it can still be done. If you live in an apartment where there is no room, the best thing to do is wait till everybody goes to bed. Even if you have to work at the kitchen table, always make time for yourself, your own space. And if you're lucky enough to have a room designated for painting, always make sure that you tell your spouse or your kids that when you're in there, it's off limits. You don't want to hear the phone ring. You don't want to be bothered because you want to get in that spiritual zone and you want complete quiet. So, and the best time to paint for me is I get up at 3 in the morning. Why? Because everything is quiet. I have my basement studio and I can blast my music, and my wife is up on the second story. She doesn't hear it. But 3 o'clock in the morning is when I find that I'm the freshest. You go to bed early and you get up early and you have that quiet time before the world begins. And you can find some spiritual inner peace when you're painting, and it's wonderful. But always try to create your own space. That's so important when you're painting, to have your own little space and have quiet. That's the thing. To where they don't bother you. To where if you're lucky enough to be able to blast music, that's even better yet. Or wear headphones. But be in your own little world. Your own space. What? Well, I'm trying to grab a nap. It's a rainy day outside. I got my electric blanket cranked on like 18, and I'm trying to catch a little bit of sleep because, man, doing a video was really exhausting. I did everything myself, and I spent hours and hours and hours and sleepless nights, and I'm really pooped. What? You want some final words before the episode ends? Okay. Wait. Let me get some coffee here. Think about this for a minute. I want to give you some good words. Cold. Let me try this one. There's a fly in there. What the heck? Oh well. Okay. You are a very unique person. You're very special. And people are going to criticize. You know, it's the way it is. It's the way of the world. Every time I put out a video myself, I get 5 thumbs up, and automatically within the 5, somebody puts a thumb down. I don't take it personal. They're having a bad day. Maybe they don't like me. I don't know. That's the way it is. But, okay, I'm going to give you some encouraging words here. When anybody ever critiques you, you know, and things don't seem right, you feel upset, just remember these 4 letters. 4 letters. WWBD. Good night. Huh? What? What do they stand for? What would Bob do?
Just keep making comments, my sarcastic little woodland creature. Just keep making comments.